Imagine scoring a goal in the World Cup, and that very goal becomes the reason for your murder. A single football mistake that costs you your life. Yes, you heard that right. From a player carrying the hopes of an entire nation to a victim of fatal sports betting bullets. This isn't a legend or journalistic exaggeration. It's a reality that actually happened. A nation shocked, families devastated, and a whole world left in utter disbelief. All of this driven by one thing: sports betting, executed by a ruthless, lawless mafia dealing in everything. The place: Colombia. The date: the 2nd of July 1994. The victim: Colombian footballer Andrés Escobar. And the real casualty: football itself. The killer: organized crime cartels and drug mafias. You all know Pablo Escobar, the most infamous drug lord in history, and we previously dedicated an entire video to his dark empire and life story, which you can check out right here. But what you utter disbelief. All of this driven by one thing: sports betting, executed by a ruthless, lawless mafia dealing in everything. So, what is Andrés' story, and how did Pablo's absence indirectly lead to his murder? Before we dive into the details, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and leave us your comments and suggestions. Let's begin the story. Andrés Escobar wasn't just another football player. He was a rare example of an athlete dubbed the gentleman of the pitch. He earned this title among fans due to his calm persona, utmost politeness, and noble demeanor both on and off the field. Born in Colombia to a middle-class family, his father worked as a banker, providing him with a stable upbringing far removed from the poverty experienced by many of his teammates. Escobar attended a private Catholic school and typically started his day attending Mass before classes, which shaped his calm, devout, and universally loved character. Within the team, he wasn't merely a player. He commanded absolute respect from his teammates and coaching staff alike. He began his professional career in 1985 with Atlético Nacional, spent a brief spell in Europe with the Swiss club Young Boys, and then returned to his home team. On the international stage, he earned 50 caps for the Colombian national team. As a defender, he scored only one international goal in his career, a memorable header against England at Wembley Stadium in 1988 during the Rus Cup. He also led Colombia to a third-place finish in the 1989 Copa America and featured in the 1990 World Cup in Italy. During the 1994 World Cup qualifiers, Andrés was an indispensable pillar of the golden generation that captivated the world, notably defeating Argentina 5-0 in a historic match in Buenos Aires. This performance led legendary footballer Pelé to tip Colombia as favorites to win the tournament. In fact, confirmed reports revealed that AC Milan had reached a preliminary agreement to sign Andrés right after the World Cup to succeed the legendary Franco Baresi. But that future was never meant to be. The Colombian team didn't travel to the 1994 World Cup in the United States just to play football. They went under the immense weight of terrifying threats from gambling cartels. After losing their opening match 3-1 to Romania, death threats poured into the team's headquarters. The coaching staff even received armed ultimatums demanding that player Gabriel Gomez be benched under threat of liquidating the entire squad while player Luis Herrera's brother was kidnapped. Amid this terrifying high-pressure atmosphere, Colombia faced the host nation, the United States. In the 35th minute, Andrés Escobar lunged to stretch and intercept a dangerous cross, but the ball deflected off his foot directly into his own net. That single own goal turned everything upside down. Colombia lost the match 2-1, and despite winning their final group game 2-0 against Switzerland, they were eliminated in the first round in one of the biggest shocks in World Cup history. Upon returning to Colombia, Friends and family urged Andrés to stay indoors and keep a low profile due to public outrage and massive financial losses suffered by syndicate bookmakers. But Andrés refused to hide, choosing instead to face the public with bravery and dignity. He wrote a famous op-ed for the Colombian newspaper El Tiempo, asking his countrymen for forgiveness and calling on the nation to rise again. He concluded his article with a line that became immortal: "See you soon, because life does not end here." Tragically, his life ended just days later. In the early hours of the 2nd of July 1994, while leaving the El Indio restaurant and nightclub in Medellín, Escobar was verbally harassed and mocked by the Galón brothers, two powerful drug lords and heavy gamblers. When Andrés walked over to his car to calmly explain that the own goal was an honest mistake, their bodyguard and driver, Humberto Castro Muñoz, stepped forward and fired 6 fatal bullets into Andrés, killing him within minutes. Police arrested Muñoz, who was sentenced to 43 years in prison. However, he served only 11 years before being released for good behavior, sparking widespread international outrage. Despite sharing a last name, Andrés and Pablo Escobar were completely unrelated. However, the historical reality is that Pablo Escobar's death in December 1993, just 7 months before the World Cup, played an indirect yet decisive role in the murder. Pablo Escobar was an avid football fan and a financial patron of Atlético Nacional. Despite all his crimes, he enforced strict rules in Medellín that forbade anyone from touching football players, whom he viewed as symbols of the nation. But after his death, Colombia plunged into a power vacuum and total chaos, giving rise to new syndicates and bloodthirsty gamblers who respected no rules. The collapse of Pablo's empire turned the streets into a lawless Wild West, making Andrés Escobar an easy target for cartel violence. Football wasn't the true culprit behind his death. It was a victim of a toxic cartel environment. A single mistake on the pitch at a chaotic moment in Colombian history cost the gentleman of the pitch his life.